Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope I'm audible. I hope you can hear me. Would be great to get a couple of responses on the chat if you're able to hear us. Great. So, good evening. Welcome to this webinar where we are going to be talking about the 4 Ps of the preschool business. A lot of you have been attending some of our past webinars. And thank you for all the interest in Kreedo and so much interest in the preschool sector, which is very, very heartening to see. In the past a few sessions, we've been talking a little bit about how Kreedo helps children learn, what the learning process is, why our learning outcomes are so high. We've spoken about play-based learning. We hope it was informative. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the business aspects of running a preschool. And what it involves to set up and run a preschool, a little bit about brand building, and of course, profitability. So we're going to try and do a comparison on a few business models and hope that it will be of value add to you. At the end, we will do questions and answers. So I don't know how many questions we will be able to take in between, but please do keep posting and we will try and answer as many questions as possible towards the end of this session. So let's start with of course, a very critical aspect of running any business, which is entrepreneurship. What really is entrepreneurship? For me, it is a pursuit of an opportunity. Any gap, any void that you see in the market where you feel here is something that's missing. Here is where I can make a difference. Here is where I would like to fill this gap. Anything is entrepreneurship. Why does a person become an entrepreneur? It could be as simple as just to earn money, to be one's own boss, to achieve something in life. But to a large extent, the entrepreneurs that we have seen is typically start this as a dream. It's a journey to be an entrepreneur, and it is with a vision in mind that most people set out on their entrepreneurial journey. So what's the difference between a business person and an entrepreneur? To a large extent, both are running profitable business, both are running a venture with customers. So what really is the difference? It's a little bit about the attitude. While both are focused on making money, for entrepreneurs, it's a little bit more about the purpose as well. So typically, for example, if somebody has money and they want to, let's say, construct a building and let it out for rent. So a business person would look at how much the investment is, what can I construct with it, how much rent will I get, what are the market dynamics of that locality, and build something that is in line with the greatest return on investment. For an entrepreneur, it can be slightly different. Entrepreneurs think differently. They may decide what's not available in the city. Why don't I build a museum? Now it's a higher risk, obviously, than just building a building, but the reward can be very, very high. So entrepreneurs are a little innovative. They're ready to take larger risks, which makes them market leaders in many ways. So I think fundamentally, when you start a business, this is something you should think about. Are you a business person or are you an entrepreneur? And what your journey is going to be like, especially in the area of preschool business. Um, we've seen largely, and we've been working since 2012 with entrepreneurs. I think we must have worked with about 2,000 plus entrepreneurs, at least from Bangalore to Barmer to Badrinath, all kinds of places. Something that I have found common in most entrepreneurs is their vision and their passion, of course. They're extremely passionate about saying, you know what, there's no good school in my area. You know what, here's a problem I'm trying to solve. They understand, how to rise up from failure and succeed again. I think COVID was a classic example of that, where so many entrepreneurs who they just, had float for 2 years and they bounced back after COVID stronger than ever before. That's a classic entrepreneur, somebody with a vision, somebody with a need to achieve, and somebody with very high energy because passion brings energy. So these are typical entrepreneurial traits. And I hope many of you recognize some of these traits in yourself and identify with these traits because they are classic entrepreneurial traits. Let's talk a little about preschool entrepreneurs in specific. Preschool entrepreneurs largely are what we classify as social entrepreneurs. So not only are you making a profit, but you want to make a difference. You want to make a positive impact on society. And most preschool entrepreneurs are visionaries. They want to make a change. Now, whether that change is small, whether that change is big, that's not so important for them. whether they're running a small school, they can be all varieties. It could be somebody who's saying, I want to only run a school for 40 children. Another one might have a dream of saying straight away, I want to have a school that has 100 children in it. Somebody may start a school saying, I want to start for 40 children and I want to start the same thing in multiple areas. So those are serial entrepreneurs. So irrespective, all of the motive is to set up something different typically for a preschool entrepreneur. Despite the huge number of preschools that we have in every city in India, in every town, in every village, so many schools, we all know that there's still a shortage of quality providers. There's still that parent comes back and says, I didn't find a good school for my child. Many entrepreneurs we know start a school because they didn't find a good school for their own child. So that's the gap that really many preschool entrepreneurs are trying to fill. So to quickly summarize, entrepreneurs are visionaries, change makers, and they want to have something beautiful and unique, especially building a wonderful institution. So on that note, here are some names, and I'd like you to just type out in the chat window. Have you heard these names before? I'm just going to give you a couple of seconds to type over here. Have you seen these names before? Have you heard of these names before? I think majority of the audience would say no. I certainly hadn't heard of any of these names. Didn't know what these names were unless somebody is specifically in this sector. They may not understand who it is. Let's look at some other names. I think these names are far more familiar to you. Is that right? Delhi Public School, McDonald's, Domino's. I hope all of you have heard these names for sure. Feel free to use the chat window. I'm guessing all of you have heard these names, McDonald's, Domino's. So what's the difference between what was on the previous screen and what was on this screen? Anybody wants to take a guess? Feel free to type your answers in the chat window. What are these names and what are these names? So yes, the screen number 2 has the brand names. They are the brand builders. And these first four, incidentally, are franchise owners for the brands. So McDonald's franchise owner in India, incidentally, is Hardcastle Restaurants. Jubilant is the franchise for Domino's. So here is a classic difference. Running wonderful businesses, but they're businesses versus these are brands. So somewhere in your head, think about, do you want to be a brand builder or do you want to run a profitable business? And we find majority of the preschool owners typically want to be brand builders. They do start this with a vision in their mind. Mine is going to be the best school in this city, in this town. And that's really, the vision and the dream that they're coming with. And most of you want to be brand builders. McDonald's, incidentally, is the largest franchise in the world, 38,000 locations. But while it has many profitable businesses and business owners that it has spawned, the brand name remains with McDonald's, which comes to the very important question that a lot of you ask us during our discussions with you: to franchise or not to franchise? That's the question that many of you have at the top of your head. And you saw the difference between what a franchise is also good business. However, brand building is a very different thought process. So what is it that you want to do as an entrepreneur? And we know entrepreneurs typically are more and more inclined to building their brand, creating a vision, because you want to do something different. You want to fill that gap that there is no quality education in my neighborhood and this is the school that I want to start and this is my dream, which itself becomes sort of restrictive when you look at a franchise. So let's just look at what is a franchise? Let's start from there. A franchise, of course, is something that's a business model in which a franchisor gives a franchisee rights to use their name in exchange for money and royalty. So what is in it for the franchisor? Why does a franchisor start a business? It's one of the easiest ways to scale a business for the franchisor is without investing any money in land, in a school. If you can start multiple hundred schools and build your own brand, why will a franchisor not do it? So there's a huge positive for the franchisor, and that's the reason they adopt a strategy of franchising, because a lot of the benefit is for the franchisor. What are the kind of businesses that franchises typically succeed in? across the world, if you see top businesses, it would be McDonald's, Domino's, would be big food brands, Spencer, a cinema theater, a hardware company, DHL, Blue Dart. These are all where the offering is standardized, where there is a commodity being offered. So whether you buy the rice packet, whether you buy it in one shop or another shop, the product is the same. It doesn't change. McDonald's has managed to pre-package a lot of things with a formula, with a recipe, and the same burger will be available in multiple places. Logistics is just about offering services with standard operating procedures. So all of these are businesses where, what shall I say, there's no room for creativity. So if you want to be creative, maybe running a franchise is not the best place to show, because with franchise comes a set of rules, comes a set of dictates, and we have seen hence it lends itself to businesses which need to be standardized. So that's the best way to sort of run a franchise business, or the best type of franchise to take. Does that apply for preschool education? Unfortunately or fortunately, education is not a commodity. It's not something that's a standardized product that you can do 2 plus 3 equal to 5 and the same education will be given to everybody. It has so many variables. First of all, the owners are different, the teachers are different, the parents are different, the child is different. There are so many variables, especially in early years, which has too many variables for education itself to become a commodity. So education is a very, very service business. For example, if there's a lawyer who's doing amazingly well, the lawyer can't franchise himself or herself. It's a service because it's specific to them. Same way, education as a service is very, very specific to the owner, and that's always been Creedo's very, very strong belief that education is not exactly a franchise business, because we would like every entrepreneur to bring their creativity and their vision and their mission to the table, and that's when it becomes really beautiful. So is franchise for the creative entrepreneur? Perhaps not. Let's look at the business aspects. So there are people who saying it's fine, we don't want to be an entrepreneur, let's just run a profitable business. I want to run a school. In order to run a business, I don't want to be creative. Does this business lend itself to franchising as a business opportunity? Um, I want to do a small comparison here. We've just taken Creedo for the sake of convenience, in terms of Creedo versus a franchise. So what are the parameters, both in terms of quality and quantity? And we're going to go over the numbers next. What are the parameters that we can compare the two on? So Credo's focus, of course, and you've seen in the last two webinars and those who've spoken to us very clearly, our very, very strong focus is on learning outcomes, on teacher training. We strongly believe that if you deliver good learning, you will become a best school, you will be the most profitable school, and you will be the best school in the neighborhood, is our very strong belief. Versus a franchisor's belief, obviously the focus is split between learning as well as marketing, because there's a brand building exercise also that's happening at the back end. Hence, the focus itself is different for Credo versus a franchise. I don't. There are a whole range of curricula that franchisors use, so I'm not going to comment about the curriculum that franchisors use. But Credo uses a play-based learning curriculum, and with this, we're able to achieve very high learning outcomes. At the same time, it brings down the cost of education, because play-based learning helps children become independent. The student teacher ratios are lower. The dependency on teachers is lower. We don't need very skilled teachers to do the same thing. We know how much skilling they need, and skilling can be a slow journey. It doesn't need to happen overnight. So for us, cost of education becomes much lower because we use play-based learning effectively. Learning materials, typically franchisors mix and match various things. They come to suppliers like us, they take a few things, they go to somebody else, they try and curate a set of things together. For us, every material is the curriculum, since it's play based. So we design the curriculum, we make things specifically for our curriculum, which means, of course, it's far more affordable and far more appropriate for the curriculum, which is very important to us. Think about the marketing spend. Yes, the franchisor spends X amount of money on brand building, but they also expect you to spend that same amount of money on different things. Like you have to make banners in a certain way, you have to put their brand in a certain way, and so on, which means sometimes your marketing spend itself becomes much, much higher. Another reason for marketing spend being much lower for Kreedo is because we have a very, very strong product market fit. We understand what parents need. We know how learning has to be delivered. Our strong belief is you don't need 100 walk-ins for you to get 10 admissions. You just need 30, 40. Conversion ratio for you needs to be very high because we want to be empowering you to do higher conversion, and it's not the brand that needs to convert for you. So we need you to be more empowered with how to convert with parents. So we give you templates with your brand, your logo. Of course, a franchisor will give you their templates with their brand and their logo. At the end of the day, what Kreedo gives you is a platform. We give you like a ready-made mix on which you can add your own tadka. Um, it gives you like a pre-stitched dress. All you have to do is fit it to your measurements and stitch it versus a franchise, which is a ready-made solution. Whether you like it or no, you have to wear the dress the way it is given. So that's the difference between the franchisors offering and the Kreedo offering. And of course, at the end of the day, you're building somebody else's brand with all the hard work that you put in, which is little heartbreaking for most entrepreneurs. Now let's look at the quantitative side. So let's say, okay, fine, we lost our brand. We are okay with building somebody else's brand. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Let me just run a business. Let's look at whether the business numbers add up to what is the comparison between the Kreedo business number and the franchise business number. I've taken here a very rough example. This is not a business plan. These are just a rough model template. If somebody was to set up a school with Kreedo, and if somebody was to set up a school with XYZ franchise, somebody who's in the same mid-range segment, let's say roughly a fee structure of 60,000 rupees, which is mass premium. It's not very low, it's not very high, it's pretty average in Bangalore. And let's say both have 100 children in year 3. I've taken this as an example of in the 3rd year of business. If both have 100 children, whether it's with a franchise or whether it's with a Kreedo public school, let's say your revenue is the same. Both of you are earning 90 lakhs, which is roughly the revenue that you get both from your fees as well as your after school or daycare activities. So I've taken a very rough ballpark and we'll run you through these numbers on how and why a little bit more later during the presentation. When you do that, you see the difference in the numbers in terms of the profitability. So in one case, sorry, just give me a second. In one case, you have a profitability of 45 lakhs. In the other case, with the same numbers, with the same kind of teacher salary, with the same kind of helper salary spent, you're making 32 lakhs in the 3rd year. That's because your royalty is gone, and that's going to be a lifetime spend, which means every year you're going to get literally 1.5 times less than what you would have got if you were not running franchise, if you were running your own school. So if you look at a return on investment, you invested 10 lakhs, and with a franchise, it is going to be higher. It will be 15 lakhs plus for sure, including the franchise, the material, initial marketing, all that spent together. If you do that in 3 years, the return on investment that you have with Kreedo would be 700%, and with the franchise, it would be 300%. And this is a very rough calculation. We've taken an average study of across most franchises. So even from a business perspective, somehow it doesn't seem to make sense for preschools to run a franchise, because in 3 years, you're going to be a wonderful entrepreneur. You will run the business exactly the way you think it is to be run. You would have learned everything, and then you would have lost all the time building somebody else's brand. So neither from an entrepreneur's perspective nor from a business perspective, honestly, in a preschool business, in a service business, which is so beautiful, it just doesn't make sense to take a franchise, which is our strong belief. So I hope, if you have any questions at this point in terms of detailing, we're happy to sort of answer that. Yeah, Neeraj, I see your question in terms of how come revenue. Yes, we're going to come back to this in terms of how come, why, and this is also going to be, some of this is private information, which we are going to be only doing with our Kreedo sessions in the future. So I hope you'll get to join that. However, I am going to be explaining a little bit more about how and what the revenue, where it comes from. Right. So now let's take another case and example, which is let's do a comparison of Kreedo versus your own school. You say, okay, franchise not working. I don't want to take a franchise. Why don't I just start my own preschool? I'll figure it somehow. I'll figure maybe you've been a teacher for a couple of years. Maybe you already know what has to be done, and you try and do this on your own. you will get to a good profitability. There's no doubt that you will end up running a beautiful school, but it will just take you a lot longer time. So what Credo does for entrepreneurs is we accelerate your growth. So because you're tied up with Credo, your teacher training is taken care of us, your structure is taken care of us, what is the learning that has to happen is taken care of us, what do parents expect, we give you guidelines on all of that. We help you understand how to talk to parents better. If there are operational issues, what should you do? On a day-to-day basis, what are the registers you have to maintain? How should you be marketing? Where should you put your collateral? We have our designers who understand what parents are looking for. So your design and collateral is made with, it's included in the Credo solution, which is free for you. Otherwise, you would have been hiring a designer outside trying to make something. And at the same time, also remember that at the beginning stage, you're building a brand. So you have to be very careful about what you put out there, how your designs are looking. Credo comes with all of this support from hiring a teacher, how to manage it. And of late, we've been focusing a lot more on, since we have so many entrepreneurs who've already grown to 100, 200 children, we're also focusing a lot more on how to help businesses scale more. What kind of processes do you need to go from 50 to 100? What processes do you need to go from 0 to 50? So that kind of expert guidance that Credo comes with at a cost that's unimaginable. And that's the reason why Credo is a very, very popular solution amongst all entrepreneurs, because with this kind of costing and with this kind of support, what it does is that it allows you time to focus on your brand building rather than creating structures. So we are very clear that our job is to make sure we help and support entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs now have time focus on the front end activities, on building a brand, building relationships with the parents, getting the school's environment nice and beautiful. And at the end of the day, with all of this, you can build a brand which is your own much faster than what you would have done if you are going on the journey alone. Of course, our alone journey is also a lonely journey, and it's also a journey that will take a lot longer time because it doesn't come with expertise that Credo brings with 12 years of running preschools to the business. Having seen 2000 different entrepreneurs follow different journeys across the country, we understand what the difficulties, the localization, and so on is. And we try and make sure that all of you understand how to deliver learning better, which is the bottom line for us, saying if that's taken care of, this is a business that's going to boom because that's what every parent wants for their child. So this is pretty much a comparison between what Credo brings and if you were sort of doing this on your own merit. So what is it in your business plan that you need to have? There are so many variables when it comes to running a preschool business. Do you want to start with a low fee? Do you want to start with a medium fee? What is the brand positioning that it will cause in your parents' mind if you start it in a specific way, or if you do not start it in a specific way? Do you want to be an exclusive premium school? Do you want to be a large school with low fee? Huge number of variables, and every one of them has a different approach, which is what we try and get entrepreneurs to see, to say how are you visualizing your school. It's important to have that vision because that dream is yours at the end of the day, but there are different paths for different visions, and that's the track that sort of Credo puts you on. So what are the variables in a preschool? Of course, the biggest variable is the rent. The rent is decided by the city you are in. The rent is decided by the kind of building that you have taken. The rent is decided by which locality in that city you are in. And this is the biggest sort of variable in the entire scheme of expenses. So your rent in some ways automatically decides which segment you're going to do, what so you can't take a place that has just a 10,000 rupees rent and say, I'm going to charge a 60,000 rupees fees, because that place is not going to look like people want to pay 60,000 rupees. So there are variables there, which is what we give you guidelines on, that considering this is the rent, here's what you must be charging as fees. And if this is the market standard, this is what you can charge, which is the study that we come with. I'm not going to disclose those numbers here. Again, these are for our Credo Masterclass sessions, which are with our entrepreneurs. But I hope we, sort of do this session with a lot of you on a closed door webinar. What is the market like? What are you going to deal with as competition? Is there competition at all? Is a franchise even a competition for you? Or are you going to just build a wonderful brand? We are very strongly of the opinion again that the best standalone school in the best preschool in any place, in any city in the world, if you see typically it will not be a franchise. It will be something that's a vision that somebody has seen. And it's an institution that you're building over time, which means all of these things. How much are you paying your teachers? It's a very, very important variable. So if you're going to charge like a 1 lakh rupee fee and you're going to pay your teachers only 8 or 10,000, obviously there's going to be a mismatch. So guidelines in terms of, hence, how should you project your image? What should you do? What is the fee structure you need to charge? How much should you spend on marketing? If you want 30 children, you have to spend so much. If you want 100 children, you have to spend so much. Now, those are variables that sort of come as things to think about in a preschool business. So let's take a brief look in terms of what those numbers are. So, for example, in Kreedo, our initial, again, I've just given you a range here. Our initial setup cost could range anywhere from 5 lakhs to 12 lakhs. And this, I mean, including the Kreedo solution, not including your deposit for the place that you're taking, but maybe that initial painting that you have to do a little bit on the initial marketing that you have to spend, including all of this. A Kreedo setup cost can vary anywhere between, if you want to run a very premium and a very big place you've taken, which takes more, let's say more doing up, you have to set up more things. It can, at max, it can go to 10 to 12 lakhs, not more than that, including the Kreedo lab cost, including the setup and so on. The fees per year, and these numbers again are for the metro city. This will vary. This is a metro business plan. So there are variables and variations in this plan even for the other cities. So based on the city, based on few other factors, there are various templates. I'm just running you through one of the many templates that we have. So the fees per year could range anywhere from 40,000 to say 1 lakh, which means in 3 years, your revenue range will be anywhere between 20 lakhs to 1 crore from for both your preschool plus your after school activities. You've got to use the place. You cannot just take the place and use it for half day. So there has got to be a utilization of space after school hours as well. So profit A is roughly what you will make from the preschool. Profit B is roughly what you will make from your after school or your daycare center. So the profit A plus profit B is typically what you would be getting overall. And the last number that you have, the ROI that we have mentioned over there, if you take 3 years, over 3 years, your monthly inflow, what you would have earned every month, can range anywhere between 1 lakh to 5 lakhs over 3 years. That means if you're earning 1 lakh per month over 3 years, you would have got 36 lakhs. That's the calculation that we have. And that can go to as much as 5 lakhs a month if you are running in a larger place with more number of children and so on. And that's the range that our entrepreneur bracket sort of falls into. In a tier 3 or tier 4, the same thing could go to maybe, let's say, 60,000, 3 lakhs. Maybe that will be the range. So we have different templates based on your vision, based on your your thought process. We have different kind of templates that we help our entrepreneurs understand. So why is Kreedo effective? Because A, we understand what parents need. We understand what entrepreneurs need. We understand their, how we know you have a dream, and our job is to help you build that dream. The second reason, we are very, very affordable. We are manufacturers. We are play-based learning proponents. Hence, that brings down the cost of education drastically. Third, of course, since we're not a franchise brand, all the money that's coming is yours, which makes a huge difference. So instead of trying to earn a lot, trying to do a lot more, with Kreedo, you will break even at 30 children, and with a franchise, you'll break even at plus children. So for the same break even, to just get back the money that you have invested, you have to work 5 times harder with any other model as compared to Kreedo, which is what we try and tell our entrepreneurs, that this is the most affordable way for you to get to break even. With 30 children, you will sort of get to break even very, very fast. And most importantly, of course, we are here to support your journey. So the kind of requirements that you have, I want to do a theme, I want to do a celebration. Can you give me suggestions on a daycare center, on a summer camp? We cover this gamut of suggestions, and that's really what we bring to the table. Also, most importantly, we are constantly empowering you as an entrepreneur, which means higher conversion ratio. The more you do this for 3 months, 6 months, and when 10 parents walk in, we would like that seven of them should be impressed with you, impressed with the lab, impressed with the school, impressed with the methodology, and they should be able to convert much faster. So, and our methodology is very simple and straightforward. We use play-based learning techniques, which are quite straightforward and easy to implement, and the learning is just fantabulous. We now work with about 2,000 schools, and the kind of learning outcomes that we are seeing in very low budget schools, just the passion that the entrepreneurs bringing to the table is amazing. And the kind of learning outcomes that they're able to show the parents, it just drives the school forward in terms of admission. And for us, whatever you've invested in initially, whether it's at 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 8 lakhs, when you have 100 children, you should have even recovered that cost back. So it should be literally a cash flow business once you reach 100 children. And that's the way Kreedo thinks about the business plan in terms of how can we make it faster? How can we make it quicker? Right. So I'm going to take a pause here to just see if there were any more questions. And I have one last slide that I am going to sort of address. One of the things that constantly we have been asked, and especially now as we sort of as May comes towards an end, towards the end, and a question we're often asked: when is the best time to start a school? Is it a good time to start a school? Can I start a school this month? We've always told everybody preschool is an annual business. You can start at any time during the year. Yes, there are times when you have more admission and there are times when you will get less admission. But there will be admissions throughout the year. When we ran our own school for 3 years, I remember at any point of time, every month, even in the lowest month, which is typically like February, just before the year is going to end, you don't think that you'll get admission in February. Even in February, there would be two admission because the child just turned 2.5. I don't want to keep the child at home. Next year in June, the child needs to go to school. So 2 महीने के लिए मैं school भेज देती हूँ. These are the kind of arguments that parents have. And remember, like just like you feel it's very late, a lot of parents also rise up very late. Suddenly they realize in June, array, now the child has to go to school. I haven't even looked for a school yet. So let me start looking. So there's never ever a bad time to start a school. Having said that, for those who are starting now, what will the schedule look like? If people have signed up in May or are going to sign up this month with us, we have a lot of those entrepreneurs I know on board with us here. By June, July, get a plan. And this is the time when you can be organized, build a business plan. Don't do it in a hurry and just jump in and say, "Ha, kaise bhi school chal jayega." That's not the thought. We want you to have time to train with us, get your place ready, take guidelines from us on what kind of place to look at, what will attract parents more. Do it up nicely, get the plan in shape, prepare your calendar. This is what the calendar for the year is going to look like. Be very organized, so when the parent walks in, they should feel, array, this person already knows it all about the school, which is what we would like to sort of groom our entrepreneurs on, and making sure that they are organized and they know what they're doing. Start school by August, get your first 10 admissions in over 2 months by September, and come up with some ideas in terms of how the early bird admissions will happen, what kind of offers you can roll out. Because those first 10 admissions, when they come in off season, they make a huge difference to your learning. You will have time, and those parents will be very appreciative of you because they also started late. They came to the school. Now they're going to go and tell everybody, you know what, I came late, but I found a wonderful school for my child. And you will also have time to give complete attention to those first 10 children. The second admission season in India is in the Shara, during the Shara in the south, and Diwali in the north, somewhere between October and November. A huge number of parents want to put their child in school for the first time. So it's a great time there to start and be ready for the October season and say, now when that load comes in, I know exactly how to handle it. It's given me time. And when you have less children, it gives you a little time to spend on brand building, thinking about the school you're going to build. How should I track it? You would have finished learning everything by the time the load comes in, which means you're ready as a preschool teacher, as a preschool entrepreneur. You're ready for the learning. You're ready for running the business. And hence, for us, no time is a bad time. And this is what the schedule will look like for people who are starting this month. So that's pretty much what I had to say about the running of a preschool business. So in terms of profitability, on a 3-year time frame, you're looking at anything in the range of literally, a 700% return on investment, and so many and so much, so many other activities that you can do in the school where you utilize the place. To summarize, if you're an entrepreneur who's looking to build that wonderful school, don't be scared to take that risk. Entrepreneurs are born to take risks, and we all know that preschool entrepreneurs just itching to go and build that wonderful institution. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's a big step forward, but it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. What it needs is a vision. What it needs is a will to say, yes, I want to run a very different school. I don't want to be like the same 20 other schools that are around me. And it's not difficult. It's your own brand. It's your vision, which will come to life. And it's play-based learning is one of the most beautiful things to implement. Parents are very, very, very appreciative of it, and it's something that you know uh, is a need in the country right now. There's hardly, even with the number of schools, there's hardly any quality education providers. So it's something that's really a need of the hour. And we hope a lot more people will be sort of ready to take this journey on in the year forward. Post COVID, of course, a huge number of schools have shut down. So the market is super hot. It's super, super, super hot right now because at least 30-40% schools are still missing in the market. And this is the best time, for you to jump in and capture a market share. A lot of the bigger players are jumping in with huge amount of money. You don't need a huge amount of money. What you need is to have a vision, is to have a plan, and we'll sort of help you get there. So that's pretty much what we had to say. Our first 3-day masterclass for owners to build an exclusive business plan is starting on Monday, day after tomorrow, in 3 days from now, on 29th May. This is our first time we're doing a masterclass for owners for managing a business. So this is going to be purely for our Kreedo preschool owners alone to chalk out a customized business plan. We know a lot of you are joining us for that session. So we look forward to seeing these sessions, growing and having more of our Credo entrepreneurs join in for these sessions where we will not just tell you how learning should happen, but we will be able to tell you, how to run the business as a whole. That's pretty much what we are sort of looking at. So we'll start taking some of the questions which are here. I'm going to just see if there are common questions which all of you have had. Um, I'm not going to be answering academic material right now in terms of those who are already our customers, because this is a session that we're looking at for the owners. But if there are any other questions in terms of the business model itself, um, we will like to answer that. Thank you, Jyoti. It's wonderful to hear from you. Jyoti, one of our entrepreneurs, is running a wonderful institution in Arunachal Pradesh and doing amazingly well. So we have schools in every nook and corner of this country. Um, Let me see. I'm just trying to spot any questions. Nishi, yes, you can definitely have a connection with somebody from the office. Somebody will reach out to you post this discussion. And you can private message your number to the host if you want. We can sort of make sure somebody connects with you immediately. um, so yeah, any thoughts in terms of the business itself? Any questions that you have in terms of asking in terms of profitability or other things? Yeah, here are some questions. When is the preschool starting date, Himangi? It depends on your state. In Karnataka, May 23rd, June 1st. These are dates. In Hyderabad, Telangana, it's towards the end of June. So every state has different timelines to start. Nazima, do we provide an app? Yes, we definitely provide an app. And this year, that app is going to be also a parent communication. The app currently is a app that has your entire planner, your assessment, your day-to-day timetable, everything that you need inside the school. It's a teacher app, but that app is going to be a parent app as well in about a month from now. And you can use that same app to communicate everything from homework to diary to everything with the your parents. So very much there. Is preschool have government rules, Nitin? Very much so. Every state has different rules, and we will take that question separately with you based on the state or place that you are in. Rajat, you're in MP where the fees is maybe 10,000. Absolutely. We have schools. We have Sangli as a zone. We have a partner school in Sangli, which is an affordable private school, a budget school, which is outside Sangli. It's not even in Sangli. It's about, I think, 20 kilometers from there, where the fees is 3,500 rupees. In fact, they increase the fees by 1,500 rupees so that they can accommodate Kreedo. And the parents were willing to pay that because they're seeing a huge change in learning. So parents do want better and better learning, and we are working. Credo is not an exclusive premium curriculum. It is meant for every child. We are very clear. Our thought is to democratize quality education. Every district in India, there is a demand from parents to start a good school. So absolutely, it doesn't matter where your school is. It doesn't matter. You can still start it. I know some of you have missed a little part of this session. There will be a recording available, and we hope to share it with some of you and to catch up with whatever you've missed in the beginning. Do you think a preschool entrepreneur needs to undertake Montessori training before starting a school? No, Credo is going to exactly do just that for you. We're going to give you training on being an entrepreneur as well as being a teacher. So all your training will get included, and our training will be far more practical. We're going to tell you how to implement it in the school, not just the theoretical guidelines. Which is what a B.Ed or other courses sometimes miss because they're very strong theoretically, but sometimes it's sort of difficult to make it practical, and that's what Credo brings. We do a lot of practical training. Amit, can you get the ROI calculation? For sure, we'll share that with you on a separate discussion. And these are not, we cannot be sharing the entire calculation sheet here, but we can definitely get on a call with you to explain how the ROI needs to be arrived at. And sometimes we have to customize it for our customers. So every ROI will be sort of customized for everybody. How is NEP affecting the preschools? Wonderful questions, Shruti. It's been a boon, a blessing, I would say. Credo, sometimes we say NEP is aligned with Credo. Credo is not aligned with NEP. That is how close NEP has been to us. Everything that we speak in Credo, play-based learning, how children must learn, how should you do assessment, every single thing, the national NCF, which is the foundational framework, the National Curriculum Framework, talks about all of these things for the foundational year. So we are super thrilled with the NCF. It has done very well. And the good thing is, after this has come, at least few parents have started asking, do you have play-based learning, which is so heartening and wonderful to see. So it's really worked well for us. Will we be selecting the teachers? No, but we'll help you. And if you need help in terms of how to interview and so on, we will definitely, be guiding you on how to hire, what to look for, and so on. Do you organize workshop for teachers? Very much so. That's the core of what we do. We keep doing teacher training throughout the year. Literally, we're doing teacher training. We have live workshops, we have online workshops, we have regional workshops, which we do in every city. In fact, shortly we will be sharing some good news with all our customers. We're also going to be doing teacher training across the board so that we can train more teachers who can come and join your schools. So we are going to be also doing Credo free, Credo teacher training for non-Credo teachers, because we know a lot of you have a shortage of teachers, and we would like to create more of a teacher pool to sort of do that. Do you have small preschools? Yes, we have so many small preschools for people with who want to run only with 30 children and are still making a profit. So it depends on what you're investing primarily. So we have all kinds of models from very small to very large, which is why we're saying we're not a franchise. We don't have like only this, there's only one way of doing it, and this is the only way to run a school. We have 100 different ways that you can run a successful preschool, and it's up to you to choose, and we will customize that for you. Do you have a Credo partner school in Hyderabad? Netra, Hyderabad is a zone for us. We have close to about 50 budget private schools and at least 20-30 partner schools in Hyderabad. We'll be happy to connect you with them offline, and we'll take that request offline. I want to start a school, Venkat Lakshmi. Please do get on a call with us. We'll give you exactly how to, how to do that. And if you can send your number on the private chat with to the host, we'll make sure somebody reaches out to you post this call. So we'll get you started with somebody depending on the area in which you are. If you're in South, one of our RMs from the South will get in touch with you. Do you have to register an education society? Vasif, yes. You have to do either a trust or you have to do business registration. So please do get on a call with us to again understand more. Yes, you have to register some kind of a financial, mandate for you to be able to run a preschool for sure. If the entrepreneur and teacher is one and the same, will we have, should you have a teacher? No, that's enough. If there, I mean, ideally, we'd like two people to be there even when you have zero children. Because in case in one day, if you're sick, there has to be a backup. You cannot have a school without a backup. So you can have you and one teacher and right up to 25 children, you don't need anymore. When you have 20 plus children, you can start thinking about a second teacher because at that time you will also step back for doing other things. So the student teacher ratio, while it can be easily 1:15, but initially you should have two. Till the time you get 30, you still need two because you should have a backup. You can't close school even one day if you have a fever. So you should make sure you have somebody. Will we be having any more trainings? We have trainings continuously throughout the year. So our masterclass for owners, the first one is on Monday. We will be having more in the subsequent weeks. So please do stay in touch with us if you want to attend a masterclass. And these masterclasses are only for our Kreedo school entrepreneurs. They're not open to everybody. They're only for our Kreedo entrepreneurs once they have tied up with us. You need to pay an annual fee. No, absolutely, Kiranmai. That's exactly what I'm saying, that we're not a franchise. You need to pay us on a per child basis, which is for the books. In fact, all our services come pretty much free with that, which is why we're saying with Kreedo, your profitability goes up immensely. Kiranmai, I hope that answers your question. Will the owner need to be on site? Yes, we would love for the owners to come once to Bangalore with us to do a owner workshop. Everything else can be done online, so it's not a problem. But one time to do that first time initiation, we do ask children, and we do ask our owners to come down here one time because it really makes a difference when you sort of start your journey initially. Which board will the school be? It doesn't need to be a board, and preschool board starts after class 1. So your board affiliation is not needed. You need to be NEP compliant, which is Kreedo already is more than NEP compliant. So you don't need to worry about a board. Uh, Curriculum support for special school, Nazima, we don't have a curriculum support at present specifically for special needs. We have been staunch believers of inclusion, but we have modalities that we explain to our owners on how to adapt Credo for special needs children. Have you trained staff in Hisar? I think we've trained staff in a lot of places. I'm pretty sure we've done it in Haryana and at least two places. I don't know exactly the name of the city, but I know we've been all over the place in Haryana. Can there be a one-on-one interaction, Priya? For sure. For all of you who want one-on-one interactions as a blanket, please leave your phone numbers in the chat window. Somebody will get back to you definitely immediately after this call, or at the latest by end of by tomorrow morning, because I know we have a lot of requests. There is a team of 5 or 6 of us, and we'll try and reach out to you as early as possible. Satyapriya, we have Tamil Nadu is our second biggest market. We have a massive number of schools in every city in Tamil Nadu. We have just started our zone in Chennai, so we will also be working with budget private schools. We will have a team sitting in Chennai. Currently, we have teams sitting out of Hyderabad, out of Pune, out of Kolhapur, out of Sangli, Belgaum, Bangalore, and Chennai is our new zone. So we have teams sitting in all these cities that will be able to service you. Do we have only pre-primary? No, we have gone up to class 2 because in the foundational years now in any NCF, it's nursery, LKG, UKG, class 1, class 2, 5 years, 5 plus 3 plus 3. So Credo curriculum is from nursery to class 2. We have the 5-year foundation. First and second has still not been included as part of preschool, but I think it may happen soon sometime considering it's become foundational years. Credo as a curriculum, we have books for 5 years. We have books from nursery to class 2. Our implementation is from nursery to class 2. We have now materials and play-based learning for class 1 and 2 also, which has a lot of beautiful materials, everything from logical reasoning to multiplication, division, and so on. We have a lot of beautiful materials in grade 1 and 2, and a lot of our entrepreneurs are doing so well that they have inbound requests from the parents and they have now upgraded themselves to class 1 or 2. Nazia, what's the duration for training? It goes on and on, Nazia. I think there's no end to learning and we don't tire of training. So it keeps going on. But we have a owner training for 3 days. Our typical teacher training lasts for at least 30, 40 hours. That can be spread across months. It can be done at a time in 5 days. So we have different modalities for different people. We have an online masterclass. We'll definitely be having that, Satyapriya, but these masterclasses are for our Kreedo partner schools. So if you are part of the Kreedo network, for sure you'll have access to these masterclasses as well. We have schools. Abdul Razak in Kerala is again a state which is very, very hot on education. We have a huge customer base there. So yes, we do have a lot of schools. Asma, as I said, it's not only Montessori. I'm assuming by Montessori you mean preschool. Our support goes up to grade 2. So we have support up to grade 2. Is recognition required in Karnataka? Yes, there is a registration required in Karnataka. Recognition is only if you're board affiliated. So recognition doesn't come in unless you're starting grade 1 or 2, but registration is definitely a mandate. So I see a lot of these questions are repeat questions. I hope all of you have got the answers as we are speaking. Yes, you need permission. You need to go to your BEO and apply for a registration, whichever city you are in. If you start school till class 2, yes, you have to take affiliation. That form for first and second is different as of now. We are hoping at some point soon it will merge into preschools, but it's we don't know when that's going to happen with the government. That's not something that's currently happening. How can you increase preschool admission? Absolutely, Venkat Lakshmi. I think what parents look for is play-based learning. This is something we tell all our Credo partner schools, that if you tie up with Credo, you increase learning, you increase admission, and you reduce the teacher burden. These are the three things that are strengths of Credo, because when you set up an activity-based learning lab in your school, obviously that's what parents want. They come and say, wow, and you can see the picture on the screen. This is how my child is going to learn. This is exactly what I wanted for my child. And the teacher's burden is much lower because now the teacher is she's facilitating learning. She is not transferring knowledge. She doesn't have to say the same thing 20 times. She has to allow children to play. And via play, children learn beautifully. So the learning shoots up. And the teacher is happy that her children are learning better. So these are the all in all benefits of sort of taking up Credo. I think a lot of questions are again on in terms of the board and curriculum. So again, I'm just repeating overall as somebody, there's no board affiliation for the pre-primary years. There is an NEP mandate to follow certain types of guidelines, which is what we do. Deepti, we will get back to you on a call in terms to help you explain what are the charges of Credo. As I said, we have options that range from 4 lakhs to 4 lakh, all inclusive, all our solution materials and curriculum and our initial support, and then there's a per child service cost. We'll be happy to set up calls with every one of you who has left their phone numbers to give you more understanding on the cost. Minimum budget typically would be 5 lakhs. That includes the Credo charges to set up a school, because you need to do a little bit about the place, you need to do a painting, you need to make the place look a little nicer. All those guidelines Credo will give you. So that's pretty much the minimum budget that you need. So I hope I've answered a large number of questions. I know there are a lot more in terms of question answers. We have all your phone numbers, and we will definitely get back to you at the earliest today or tomorrow at the latest, not beyond that. Akshata, so glad to hear from you from Tiny Toes. I see a lot of our Credo partners. It's always so heartening to see Credo partner schools do well. And Jyoti, who has so many children, Akshata, Tiny Toes in Bangalore, who's our partner school, who's doing wonderfully well. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending this. I think we'll close this session here today. And we'll be doing more. We understand the interest you have and we see the huge number of participation. Thank you so much for your time. And we will get back to you, as I said again, at the earliest, latest by tomorrow. We'll try and do it today as well. Right? So thank you. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye. Have a lovely evening, all of you. And we hope to talk to many of you over the weekend. Thank you so much. All the best in your entrepreneur journey. Don't stop thinking of being an entrepreneur. Jump in, take those risks, and start that wonderful institution that you've always dreamt of. Thank you so much. Bye bye.